Hello everyone, welcome to another episode talking geeky stuff, or shall I say talking geeky stuff. So you see here you got posters of She-Hulk and the new Rings of Power. Anyway, but before I start, this is not really a review. I've only seen the first episode of Rings of Power and the second episode of She-Hulk. So it's not a review, it's more about just the titles could be called What's Happening? And so I'm into geeky stuff. My channel is called Talking Geeky Stuff. I've only kind of started doing videos for the last 18 months. I started back in when it was during lockdown, working from home. I had a bit of spare time, so I decided to talk about geeky stuff. And I mentioned in my previous videos about how I'm into movies, especially fantasy, action, generalized things like that, comics, manga, anime, even general cartoons as well, action figures, anything that's related to those main things, video games, all these kind of geeky stuff, all kind of cross-reference to each other. I'm always meeting people who like, say, gaming, but they also like movies and animes. Everything's all kind of linked up. And being as old as me, I won't tell you how old I'm. Let's just say I've been around long enough to see changes, from decade to decade to decade. And my video has always been pretty neutral about certain things. A little quote is here. How did it come to this, right? The woke culture, diversity, inclusion, female empowerment, Me Too, all of that stuff, right? First, I'll let everyone know that I am actually Asian, Chinese Asian. I was raised in the UK, in London. I've been in the UK for over 35 years. I'm British citizen, so if anything, I'm more British than Chinese. But at the same time, I come from a very traditional Chinese background, so I have the best of both worlds: a culture from here, from the East, and a culture from the West. So I can kind of look at things in this kind of like a neutral, a different perspective. And I always give my opinions to my friends and families, colleagues about certain things, even at work, where my work is really, really about diversity and inclusion. So I tend to ask my opinions about things, which is great, by the way. Opinions should be heard. But I've slowly seen the last 10 years or so that this culture has slowly taken a foothold into the geek culture, pop culture, even pop culture generalizing. And I've never really spoke too much about it, especially when I come from a big company with diversity and inclusion and so on. And the last thing you want to do is say things, even though I have every right to have a different opinion. But unfortunately, in this day and age, you get cancelled. For example, I might get fired from my work, and I don't want that. So I tend to keep my opinions to people I trust, things like that. And so I try to, when I make videos, try to be as neutral as possible. Talk about the good, talk about the bad, and I talk about things I don't really like, just opinion. I respect everybody's opinion. But after watching She-Hulk, first 2 episodes, and the Ring of Power, and of course, watching YouTube, I've seen so many other content creators. I can name a few, like Geeks and Gamers, for example, Nerdrotic, if I pronounce it right, Jeremy from The Quartering, Critical Drinker, is his name Dave Cunham, the Scottish Irish. Apologies if I get your name wrong. Apologies for that. And I've seen all these YouTube videos about their opinions and so on. I don't always agree with what they say, but I do agree with a lot of things they say. And judging by the trailers for both of these TV shows, I kind of got the gist of what it's about. Female empowerment, diversity, inclusion, all of that usual nonsense. So I mentioned that I slowly have seen all this new culture has kind of wormed its way into what I love, what I grew up with, and it really frustrates me. I mean, I don't want to make this video as a rant or anything like that, of course, but I suppose in a way it's like almost like the straw that broke the camel's back. I see my beloved franchises get destroyed time and time again. I'm a big Marvel fan. I love the Marvel comics. I love DC comics. Okay, be it I'm more of a Marvel fan, but I still love DC comics. I love comics in general, for example. And seeing what they're doing with all the Marvel comics, and it's so obvious they're not making money. Marvel, like the comic industry itself, is going downhill. And it's like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to tell you that it's because all this nonsense that's going in there, the writing, movies that's flopping every time. It doesn't take a scientist or a genius to tell you what's happening. Back in the 1940s, when the world fought against the Nazis and the modern world fighting against communism and unjust, right? Because no one wants to be dictated, no one wants to be force-fed an ideal, right? No one likes that. That's why war broke out. The world fought against Nazis and freedom prevailed. All these great men and women fought for us, lay down their lives for us so we can be who we want to be, say we want to be. And that's a good thing. Everybody has a right to say what they want. Everybody has a right to do what they want and be who they are, as long as it doesn't offend someone or get someone in trouble or involves someone else's life, right? But it's gotten to a point where all these activists out there, they spout about changing the world for the better, for the good, right? And yet, when you disagree with them, they want to cancel you. They call you every name under the sun, racism or sexism or whatever. Yet, wait a minute. You have the right to do what you want. That's cool. But I have the right to disagree with you. I have the right to be who I want to be. How can you say you want the world to be free, you respect everybody's opinions, when their opinions is different than yours? They throw you on the bus. They cancel you. So basically, what they are saying is, you can be free as long as your opinion aligns with ours. So it's like no better than the dictators in the past. They try to dictate the world, right? So what's the difference? It's just stupid. That's why I'm making this video and I'm watching the first 2 episodes of She-Hulk. It's like, I'm a big comic fan. I mentioned that many times now. Incredible Hulk is one of my favorite, probably my favorite Marvel character. I don't like calling Incredible Hulk a superhero. In my eyes, he's not a superhero. He's a monster. He's a scary monster. Look what the MCU has made him. The first Hulk was amazing. He was actually really underrated, to be honest with you. I thought Edward Norton was a perfect Banner. Unfortunately, due to creative differences, they got in Mark Ruffalo. To be honest, I think Mark Ruffalo did a pretty good job the first couple of times. But look what they've done to him. Look what they've done to the Hulk. Maybe he's too much of a man or something like that. So I'm always interested in anything kind of that is attached to the Hulk. For example, She-Hulk. And I knew straight away that once I saw the trailer, even before I seen the trailer, when I just saw, Marvel has announced She-Hulk, I said to my friend, I guarantee you they're going to change She-Hulk's origin. Because my friend is not so up to the standard with what this whole industry is about. He's not as much of a geek as me. So I follow it. I said that if you go by the trends, a man cannot be responsible for a woman to become a superhero or teacher or mentor a female person nowadays. It's just ridiculous. So I said they're going to change her origin. And of course they changed the origin. And the origin was so stupid. I mean, if you read the original comics, it was so impactful. Can you imagine that in the TV show? The guilt on Bruce Banner. Just to set up Jennifer fighting a good fight against a mob. She gets they attempt to assassinate her, just like in the comic. It was a failed attempt. Bruce Banner saves her by transfusing blood. His motive was just to save his cousin. He didn't think about she will turn into a monster, right? And then after that, the backlash, the interaction between the two cousins, that would have made such a big impact on the TV show. Bruce feeling guilty and Jennifer learning to live with this monster. But it's not really a monster, because at the end of the day, Jennifer still kind of retains her kind of humanity in some ways, and she learns to become a superhero and so on. And then watching the first episode where Bruce was teaching her, she'd become better than him in every aspect of the way. And I was like, really? I mean, let's just say Jennifer was stronger than him. But the fact is, Bruce has saved the world countless of times in the Marvel Universe already, right? From the Avengers, 4 Avenger movies, from Thor Ragnarok, so he has more experience, simple as. I was like, it's gone so bad that a man cannot mentor a woman, cannot teach a woman. Is it that bad? It's like, do you take your school kids, like, a schoolgirl to school and, oh, wait a minute, the teacher's a man, he can't teach her. It's just ridiculous. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, last I checked, a man and a woman are still human beings, Homo sapiens. We have to learn from somewhere, right? It doesn't matter if it's a woman teaching me or a man teaching me, who cares? So, and then there's a scene where she talks about, well, Bruce kind of tells her, you got to control your anger. She starts talking about all this bullshit. I swear, I try not to swear in my videos. Talks about all this, and I am infinity more angry than you. Goes, what? This is your cousin you're talking to. Don't you know what he's been through? He tried to commit suicide. He lost the love of his life. The US government tried to kill him and detain him. He tried to escape to a different planet because he didn't want to hurt anyone, because he knows how great, how powerful the Incredible Hulk is. He didn't want to hurt people. That conscious, the guilt conscious that he may cause trouble is always on him. But always he comes back. He tries to save the world, and you're telling me that she's more angrier. Come on, man, it's just ridiculous. And let's talk about the twerking scene that's with what's her name? Something Stallion. I can't remember her name. It's like, are you seriously going down that route to twerk? Anyway, and then you move over to Rings of Power. I've only seen the first episode, and I probably end up watching it. I like to binge my stuff now because I'm so used to Netflix. Probably wait until like 3 or 4 or 5 episodes come out, then probably watch it in one go. Anyway, so Ring of Power. I don't want to bore everyone with the history. They only got the rights for the appendix, so there's certain things they can't use from the Tolkien original novels. This one gives you a little bit different. This is not just the She-Hulk. She-Hulk's more like the female empowerment, which I think is, look, at the end of the day, everybody's the same. Everybody needs to be, moving over to Rings of Power. This one's a bit more, you've got female empowerment, you've got diversity and inclusion. And I got this poster up there of the first female dwarf. You've probably seen all the memes out there about all these videos, interviews have been cut together. I'm the first female dwarf. I'm the first female dwarf. All of that crap, right? I goes, you know what? I couldn't care less if you was the first female dwarf. I really don't. I watch a film for the character, be it the man, female, or whatever. I want a good story. I want good acting. And then you see them in like talk shows where they talk about representation. I hear that word a lot in the last 5 or 6 years in all these movies. Finally, a young person can see themselves in the TV, and diverse inclusion. They want to bring up to the 21st century with a diverse character. I've said this from day one. I keep on saying that I'm a sucker. I like the creation of the product to be faithful, as faithful as possible to the original source material. If the comic book, all the characters are white, straight males, I couldn't care less. I'd rather them stick to the source material. Yeah, make odd changes here and there, like, a bit of creative differences, because you can't transfer everything from the novel or comic book to anime to the live action. Yeah, make some changes. That's fine. But at least get 80 to 90% of the source material. And then it goes on to about the representation. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about representation there? All these kind of like race swapping or gender swapping, right? If it makes sense and a good character and a good story to back it up, yeah, fine, I'm okay with that. But just to race swap or gender swap to tick a box, are you serious? I mean, it's funny how they talk about representation there, and yet I question anyone who's watching this video to this long. Thank you, by the way. Is count in your hands how many, to me anyway, how many Chinese, Asian men have been represented in Hollywood in the last God knows how many. I said that to people at work once, and they said, "Oh, you got Shang-Chi?" Because that's so stupid. Shang-Chi was based on a Chinese kind of mythical story. You're gonna have to have Chinese people in that, right? And then someone said, "Oh, you got Wong from the Doctor Strange." I was, yeah, but Wong in the comic was Oriental Asian, so they're not really changing anything. I'm talking about getting a white character, making them a Chinese male or female. Because I noticed with all these race swap, all this diversity, everybody talks about diversity, it's always a select race, a select type of people that always get swapped out. It's like, okay, the world big, you got in Asia alone, you got Chinese, you got Japanese, you got Koreans, right? You got Indian, you got Pakistan, you got Philippines, you got all these other races. Like, where are they? They're not being represented. I look at them, I don't see myself. And even if I did see myself, I couldn't care less. Because at the end of the day, when I watched Shang-Chi, I didn't like it. I thought some scenes were good. I might do a talk about that sooner, but I didn't like it because it was done wrong. Acting was, story was, so-so. I mean, they got a lot of Chinese things wrong, and I just felt, anyway. I remember saying to a group of people I work with, someone stupidly said, "Oh, I thought you'd like it. It was made for you." I was like, "What are you talking about? Made for me? Just because you're throwing a bunch of Chinese actors, you think it's made for me? That alone is racist. Just because you got Chinese people in the film that's made for me, shut the hell up. Just because you have a character or actors from the same race doesn't mean it's made for you. And speaking about like it's made for you, I'm here to represent you. I mean, who gave you the audacity to represent me? I never gave you permission. You know, I couldn't care less. To me, about when I was younger, I was watching Stallone movies, Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, or bigger, larger than life characters. One man versus an army, big guns and helicopters and bazookas. Right? As a young kid, he's like, wow, these are living, to me, it was like living action figures. I wanted to be like that. I mean, who didn't want, after watching a Rocky movie, after the training scene, you wanted to, get a tank top and just start running and start push-ups? That's the whole point of a fantasy movies. It's you, and that's with representation. You don't have to be the same color. To me, representation is about the life that person lives. For example, I know so many people that I'm friends with right? They're not even Chinese, but you know what? We have a lot in common. We are into the same geek stuff. We have the similar philosophy and similar taste in stuff. I can watch, say, John Wick with Keanu Reeves. I think he represents me more because in my mind, my alter ego is like him. I want to be as cool as him, go around, not literally go around killing people, like handing in guns. And I'm like, to me, that's more my pardon me. That to me is more like my representation. There you go, finally got it out. So representation, not about that, because watching a movie, reading a book, anime, whatever, you see yourself as an alter ego, larger than life characters, things that you don't do in real life. That's how I project it, that's when I look at these films like Spider-Man, I'm like, wow, I wish I could spin and climb up trees, look at Captain America, like, I wish I had super serum, because I wanted to be about 5 more inches taller and have a super bod, fight crime. I've always had kind of wanted to be like that. I asked every boy when they were younger, they kind of aspire to be this person, that person. That's representation. Doesn't matter what the color of their skin is, their gender or whatever. And talking about gender representation, one of my favorite all-time characters, right, of all-time movie character is Ripley from Alien, Sigourney Weaver. She's also one of my favorite actresses, be it a man or a woman. Look at Alien. When I first watched that, I didn't even think she was the main survivor or the main hero. I mean, I thought the other guy was a beard, and then suddenly when everybody started dying, I was, oh my god, she's actually a thing. What Ridley Scott did was amazing. How they build her up, and then suddenly, she survives. And you look at the whole. Watch it. I recommend everybody watching Alien. How she learns and learns and learns and learns, and then you watch James Cameron's sequel, Aliens, where she's more experienced. It's natural, it's truthful, because it's true. Everybody who has an experience becomes stronger. It's just natural. You gain experiences, just like Goku from Dragon Ball. Every time he gets defeated, he gets stronger. That's what real life is. And even then, when she went with the Marines, well, guess what? She asked Hicks to teach her how to use a pulse rifle. Wow. In this day and age, can you imagine having a man teaching you how to use a weapon? Right? But It's natural because she never used a gun before. She doesn't have to use this military equipment. She's not military. Of course, she asked a captain, or what was he, a lieutenant or something, to teach her how to use all these weapons. And she was an amazing character. But you know what? It was not forced into us. It was natural. And when I watched her, I wanted to be her. Kick-ass, fighting aliens. Of course, I wouldn't. I probably run in real life. I probably run the other way. But the fact is, you want to be her for a minute. And you know what? I couldn't care less. She was a woman. It's just to her essence, her perseverance, her bravery, her courage, her loyalty. You know, that's the spirit that I wanted to gravitate to, not because what they look like. Well, anyway, I think I probably went on too much about this. And anyway, I didn't really mention what I thought about the Rings of Power. I thought it's boring. Galadriel is annoying as hell. I swear all the men are useless. She just knows how to do everything. It's like, come on, man. It's like proper Mary Sue plus. And then you think Ray from Star Wars is a Mary Sue. She's even worse. I mean, you go back watch Peter Jackson movies and you watch Kate Blanchett as Galadriel. I think that's how you pronounce it right. When she's on screen, yeah, not just me, I really can see the audience go, oh, captivated by her. When she's on screen, she demanded authority because she was the most powerful wizard. She didn't have to prove a point. She didn't have to get a sword out of war armor to prove how powerful she was. When she said things, people listened. Even one of the movies when you see the woman who who killed one of those, what do you call it? Those kind of like dark things. And he goes, and the guy goes, "No man can kill me," and she takes her helmet and goes, "I am no man." I mean, come on, man. That was a cool scene. I remember we was clapping for that. We didn't think nothing of it. It was just like a cool scene. It wasn't forced. And you can see how she becomes so strong. Like I said, Galadriel demanded power. She was a powerful wizard or sorceress. Everybody in her essence was like respecting her. And that's how you demand respect. Anyway, enough talk. Right, thank you for watching, and please do subscribe. I just wanted to do this video because I think it's finally really starting to get on my nerves now, this whole culture. Well, anyway, let me know what you think. Until next time, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world, and please stay safe. Goodbye.